exploration, adventure, passion all elude you in your comfort zone. And that's so true, because I see it. I see people who are afraid of change. Their life is truly gray. There's just so little color in it because they're so unwilling to try, because God forbid something happen if they do change things up. So it's sad. Don't fall into that trap. And if you are in that trap where you're afraid of change, just know that there's hope and that you can pull yourself back out. Yes, it will take some work, but you can pull yourself out, especially if you want to. And replace this with, so replace change is dangerous or not safe with change is risky but exciting, and it expands my comfort zone. Doesn't that kind of change sound a whole lot better? Just change is risky but exciting, and it expands my comfort zone. Yeah, no risk, no reward. A little side note I made there. And this is so true. It's so true. Oops, there it goes. Number 2. This is for, I'm sorry. So these are the software, remember, that I was saying that people run. So the second type of software people also run is I don't deserve improvement in my life. And that's sad, but it's a deep belief a lot of people have. This is associated with guilt, usually from childhood, from things parents say to their kids. This is something I talked about earlier. So again, parents can often influence their children negatively, unfortunately, by basically creating this feeling within the child that they don't deserve. So for example, both my parents used to say, you know, we stay together for you guys. We stay together for you guys. And I was like, really? You're not really doing us any favors because you're fighting all the time. So it's like, this isn't fun. So if you're a parent who is going through turmoil with your partner, then if you can't overcome your differences and you've tried and you've worked on it and you've done counseling and other things, and you're not able to overcome your differences, please don't stay together for the children. Please do not use this excuse. You are blaming your children, basically. Like your children are going to, it's like you're putting it on them that our suffering is all for you. Well, your kids don't want you to suffer. I'll tell you that right now, because I watched my parents fight and argue and have disagreements because maybe they weren't on the same page about things, which is normal. But when it's constant and you choose to stay together and then your children have to witness that constantly, that's not healthy. It's not healthy for you and your partner, and it's not healthy for the children. So I'm going to say, please don't do that, and try to shift out or get some help if you're able to. Number 3, change is impossible. I've actually heard that too, several times. Change is never impossible. As I said, it is a continuous thing. It is constantly happening. You are constantly in the flow of change. Whether you actually think you are or not, it is happening because every moment your life is changing. And, you know, change is impossible. Like, run that software enough and it becomes your truth. It really truly becomes your truth. But what if it's not? What if change is not impossible? What if all it took was one little baby step each day towards that goal or towards that thing, that change that you want? Number 4, I'm better off keeping this problem. You know, comes with certain perks, like people feeling sorry for me. I've seen that. Some people that are very much stuck in victim mode, it's almost like they want to get better, but they don't want to get better. They want to get better, yes, because they're not enjoying the suffering. They're not enjoying the gray days, you know, the fact that everything is gray constantly because there's no excitement, nothing changing in their lives because they're not willing to step outside of that comfort zone. But I've literally witnessed people, saying that and feeling that. They want the change, but at the same time, they're like attached to like their issue or condition or disease or problem, circumstance, whatever it is that they're going through. They seem to be stuck in it, and then they're attached to it at the same time. There's like an emotional attachment. So it's almost like they're getting something out of it, even though it's not a positive thing, but they're getting something out of it. And in most cases, and this is really sad, but I've seen in most cases, what happens is they're attached to that condition because at least they get attention. At least they get a little bit of attention from someone, by someone feeling sorry for them. Or ultimately, what I see is that everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to be loved and cared for and heard and seen. But when someone feels like they can't be heard or seen, or maybe that's how they grew up, it wasn't a very loving home or family, then as adults, they oftentimes form diseases and different conditions in their physical body because they're storing pain and they're storing trauma, and that in itself is translating into a physical condition because your soul, your body wants you to look at it, wants you to deal with it. And then on top of that, it's that attachment to that pain, and there's an identification with it. And it's so toxic and it's so sad because it really only boils down to the individual really wanting to be loved, to feel loved. So people like that, and when I work with people like that, I know that what they need the most is actually love. But I find it's important to show them how they can receive love from others, but without the disease, where it's not about, feeling sorry for them, and that's not how they're receiving attention from you, but rather just, oh my goodness, I love your hair today. Wow, that outfit looks great on you. It's those kind of things, is to receive love that way. It is a healthier way. And if you have someone in your vicinity who is ill, try to steer them sort of out of this, I'm better off keeping this problem kind of attitude, if you think that that's something that they have, by just simply showing them their value through nice compliments and just heartfelt kindness. That people feel that. It's really palpable when something is authentic and genuine. So definitely see if that's something that you can do for someone that is around you who might be suffering. And the other piece actually with that is also they need to be shown how to love themselves, because anyone that wasn't loved as a child is going to have major deprivation, and they're not going to love themselves because fundamentally they have been taught or shown that they're not lovable, or they develop a belief that they're not lovable because they were abandoned or not cared for enough. So people like that, I find, need to be taught how to love themselves first. And if you are a person like that, then this is a message for you. Like, love yourself first and start loving little things about yourself, and then work your way up, and it can become bigger and bigger things. Number 5 is I can't let go of the hurt or the pain someone caused me. This has to do with forgiveness or lack thereof. It's an inability to forgive. A lot of people that come to see me carry a ton of hurt and pain that was caused, by someone else. But in many situations, this is a background software that is running in your mind, right? This is a program. It's actually running in the subconscious mind, stemming back to childhood, possibly, or just from traumatic events that you may have experienced later in life. Forgiving others, forgiving yourself is the primary antidote for this I can't let go of hurt or pain situation. Yeah, because it really traps you in suffering. So not being able to forgive yourself or another for something that they've done wrong, or for them hurting you in some kind of way, it really traps you in the trauma. It keeps you in that suffering. It doesn't allow you to move past it. And then you're just reliving it over and over and over again, unnecessarily, and feeling the pain, of course, through the whole time. So forgiveness is something that I personally learned through hardship. It was through a tremendous amount of suffering, emotional suffering. But when I finally reached, I didn't even understand what forgiveness was. But when I finally reached that point of like, I'm just done. I'm done with carrying this burden. I'm done with dealing with the situation. I don't want to be, upset with that person anymore. I don't want to be upset with myself anymore. And when I came to that conclusion, it was like, I prayed and I asked to be shown how to forgive, because I had no idea how to do that. And when I was able to do that, it came in, like the feeling came in of relief. It's like, this is what peace feels like. And peace is something that you experience once you have been able to forgive either yourself or another for something that has happened. So don't run from forgiveness. Embrace it. Look for it. Try to really pull it forth from within yourself. I find we all have the answers to all of our issues and problems within ourselves, but it has to come forth. It has to be brought forth. And in many cases, I see it. People can't do that. They can't bring it forth without healing, without that spiritual counseling or perception, because it's a perception shift that happens with people when I work with them. And once they completely shift their perception about a situation, that's when the forgiveness can truly come. That's when the healing can truly begin, because in that moment they're choosing to let it go. They're saying like, okay, I'm done with it now. Number 6, if I change, I won't know who I am. This is again identification with suffering that I'd mentioned before. And that identification makes it impossible to let go of it. This is something that I've seen mostly with very ill people. There's a major identification with their condition, with whatever it is that they're suffering from. And I often hear from people that they call it like my disease. I hear this all the time from people, like anyone suffering from something. I had a lady who was suffering from cancer, and she kept saying like my disease. And I was like, no, why are you making it yours? It's not yours. It's an experience that you are having. Disease is dis-ease in the body. It's not yours. There's just simply dis-ease in your body. Something is not in balance. That is the only reason that causes disease in the first place. So why would you identify with it as yours? It's not yours. And why do you want it? Do you want to own it? It's not a part of you. It is simply an experience that you're going through. And most people can't heal from major diseases because they identify, because they attach to it so much. You're at that point, you're like programming the body to hang on to the same vibration, which is the vibration of that condition. It stays in there and it festers, and with your thoughts and with your feelings, you keep reaffirming, I am sick and I am sick with because my disease. Don't reaffirm. Do the opposite. If you truly, genuinely want to heal, you have to do the opposite. You have to reaffirm over and over that I am healthy. Thank you for my health. Thank you for my good health. And even if you don't believe it, even if you feel like you're on your deathbed, like start changing that within. And I know this is easier said than done, but it makes a huge difference. It really makes a huge difference. How you perceive what you are experiencing is like such a game changer. It's such a life changer, because your perception can make a certain experience, which is most likely meant to be a part of your life, only for a certain timeline. I've seen people in palliative, like, and people in long-term care with, you know, chronic illnesses, and they've been in there forever, and of course they're not getting better, because nobody is addressing their underlying issues, which is usually traumas and major emotional hurts and major spiritual trauma and all kinds, like physical trauma in some cases. Like, there's so much healing that most of the population of this planet needs. So much letting go and surrendering and releasing needs to happen. I think when that can start to happen for people, and I'm seeing it, I'm witnessing it, that healing is truly possible for a lot of people. But the people that it's possible for are the people that choose it, and only the people that choose it. So if you identify with anything that you're suffering from right now, and if you think that it is yours, then just know right now, and let me change the perception immediately in your head, that it is not yours. It is simply the outcome of an underlying trauma, of an underlying issue that you never addressed, that you never had assistance with addressing. No one showed you how to process it, how to let it go. I have clients who go to counseling on a consistent basis and see psychotherapists and psychologists. And please don't misunderstand me. I am not downplaying a psychologist or a psychotherapist in any way whatsoever. But a lot of people come and tell me that they've had, you know, counseling over it, and for years. Actually, I had one woman was telling me, "Oh, I've been going to counseling for years for this." And then I asked her, I said, "And how are you progressing?" And she told me, I'm not progressing. So I was like, okay, then you're talking about stuff, but it seems to be superficial. You're not getting to the root cause of your issue, and that's why you're not able to overcome it. So it's vitally important, I think, for our world to start understanding that the reason why we are all sick, or many of us are ill, and the reason why diseases are so rampant on this globe right now, is because so many people have emotional traumas and issues and pain that they carry forever, and that are not getting addressed, that are not getting healed, that are not being truly looked at from the perspective that they should be looked at, which is, in my opinion, a spiritual, an emotional, a heart-centered perspective. If you can approach a sick person like that, just showing up in their presence with your heart fully open, wanting to understand them, having compassion and feeling that for them, I see it. People change, their mood changes, they're all of a sudden more joyful, they're just more open, they're more chatty. It's awesome to see how people blossom when we open our hearts to them, and when we help them feel safe, and when we help them and make them feel loved. That is true medicine. I don't think anything heals as well as love. Not downplaying medicine, once again, but from the spiritual perspective. And the last point I wanted to mention is, this is another software people run, is it's not up to me, therefore there's nothing I can do about it. Remember how I said earlier that we always have choice? So this here would tie into that perfectly. There is always choice. And yes, things are up to you, actually. People don't realize the power that they have, the capacity that they have to heal, to learn, to grow, to change. People really don't. They don't see it, you know, and when I show someone in a session, all of a sudden it's like, wow, there's expansion. I can see it in their eyes. All of a sudden their mind just expands. This belief is a full surrendering of personal power. So the it's not up to me and therefore there's nothing I can do about it. That's you fully giving up your power and saying, can't. Is that truth? Is that reality? That's what I would ask you, because I don't believe it is. And it isn't. It really isn't. There's always something that we can do. And that something isn't necessarily outward action. It isn't necessarily something that you're physically doing. It's actually usually inward action. It's usually inner work. Doing the inner work empowers you and therefore allows you to come into that space of, it is up to me and I do have a say in this. Why am I taking a back seat here on my own life? Yeah, how you respond to your circumstances is always your choice. So don't give up just because life gets tough. And a couple examples I wrote down here is, just because I can't travel, I can still feel free, right? We're all kind of in lockdown. Some parts of the world are in lockdowns, other parts are not so much. Yes, you can travel to a certain degree, but it's nothing like, you can't just book a trip to Cuba and fly off. It's going to be circumstantial. There's going to be some things you're going to have to do, right? But just because we can't fly, it doesn't mean we can't feel free. So what if I was to generate this feeling of freedom within myself? Well, I can't fly right now, but I can certainly take a road trip, or I can, go a couple towns over and explore and visit. There are things we can do. We can feel free. So don't let these false beliefs, these kind of excuses, hold you back and prevent you from living your fullest life, even now. And I know that could sound crazy, but that's how I feel about it. Another example is, just because I see extra pounds on my body, it doesn't mean I can't feel beautiful. That's a huge piece for self-love. Self-love is, just acknowledge that it's there. Put some action steps together in your mind, little ones to start. Put action steps together in your mind of how you're going to overcome it or what you're going to do about it. And then just forget about it and feel beautiful. Feel beautiful because you know that you're already taking action. You're already planting some new seeds in your mind and doing something about it. Another example is, just because I can't walk right now, it doesn't mean I won't. And that's, again, it's just an example I'm using, but for some very sick people that I've worked with, if walking is not an option now, please don't rule it out as being something that will never be an option. And I've seen some wonderful, highly motivational videos online of people overcoming themselves, my God, in such huge ways. And, getting up and walking. I watched a woman get up out of a wheelchair and she started walking. And it happened because she started to change the way she was thinking and feeling about it. And initially she was, of course, very much down in the dumps and feeling like, oh my God, it was never going to happen. And, she felt great despair for her immobility, but inside she was such a fighter and she didn't give up. And you could just see that in the video, like you could see it in her eyes, that she was just she wanted it. She wanted to walk. She wanted it so much that she was willing to believe that she could. And she did, because she believed she could. So those were the main things I wanted to talk about. And just as a final tip, I wanted to mention this because I think it's very important. Sometimes it can be difficult to support ourselves, and I know that, and I'm fully aware of that because it's something that I struggle with too. It's like, I'm a work in progress here. Don't think that I'm perfect or that I've mastered stuff. I'm continually working on myself. I see I acknowledge my mistakes more now. I see them, but you know what? There's so much more consciousness to it. And I really focus on, okay, I see the mistake. What's the solution? Let's look for the solution. And then once I start to look for the solution, I usually find it pretty quick. But really make sure that for the times that when you're not able to support yourself, or that you're not able to kind of, pick yourself back up, have people in your life, have a friend, even if it's just one friend, but have someone that supports you, and supports you in a very loving, very compassionate kind of way. Really think about this. Like, anybody that is in your life who is not supporting you in a way that uplifts you when you're down, in a way that supports you when you're feeling low, in a way that makes you feel loved when perhaps you can't love yourself. If you don't have, it's like a backup system, and I think it's so important to have, and I'm so blessed to have wonderful friends who are that for me, who can be that rock for me. And when I feel like shit, they pull me back up and pick me up and, come on girl, we got this and let's do it. And I need that, and we all need that. And it's very, very important that you get yourself someone or a support system of that kind, if you're able to, in your life. I always say one friend can be the world. You don't need to have a lot of friends. You need to have genuine friends and people that truly support and care about you. Because if that's not the kind of people you're currently surrounded with, then everything that I talked about in this video is going to be so much harder to overcome. Because don't forget, a lot of this is all software, right? This is all programming. Everything I talked about today is programming, and it's all just seeds in our mind. So do you have people that help you plant positive seeds and good seeds in your mind? Or, is everyone around you just watering the weeds you've already got, right? And the belief systems you've already got. And if they just keep reinforcing that, unfortunately, it really will make your journey that much more difficult. So love yourself enough to surround yourself with positive, loving, higher vibrational people. And the ones that don't do that for you you have 100% permission to cut out of your life. Anyone that insists on dragging you down, or that you feel is dragging you down, and don't be afraid to cut them out. It's really not a good idea to maintain toxic relationships. It doesn't benefit them, and it doesn't benefit you. So that's what I've got for you. I've already made this a lot longer than I anticipated, but if you resonated with this message, please subscribe to the channel, or hit the notification button for when I post new stuff. You can also like it. It doesn't cost you anything to do those things, but it really does support me, and it also gives me feedback that the content that I'm putting out there is useful, it's helpful, and that people are interested in it. So thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for being here and taking the time. I wish you all the best, and continue working on yourself. Don't give up, and really take a look at your software and see what kind of programs you're running, and see if those are the ones that you want to keep running. Because it's okay to upgrade. It's 2021, baby. Let's upgrade. So that's it. Love you guys. Take care. And thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.